My name is Patrick Piper. I'm a 20-year military veteran and an alumnus of Gonzaga University. The son and grandson of career military men, I was a little boy who grew up to be exactly what he always wanted. At 17, I joined the Air Force and became a survival, evasion, resistance, and escape specialist. Spent the next 2 decades treating my body like a rodeo clown for Uncle Sugar's amusement, jumping out of airplanes, and playing hide and seek. After I retired, I used my GI Bill and came here to Gonzaga and left with a master's degree in organizational leadership. Then after a few forays into the business world, I'm now in the midst of a career pivot, and I'm back here at Gonzaga, mainly just pursuing education for the pure joy of learning, but also just adding some skills to the skill set. I spent the last year tearing through the music department, learning some piano, some trumpet, taking voice lessons, music theory. And now I'm running through the digital media department, taking filmmaking, video production, radio podcast production, which is why we're here in the studio today. The project for the class is just a 10-minute podcast episode. And like so much in my life, I have a tendency to overdo things. So I've actually done a couple episodes of the Vets Are Zags podcast. Because I'm a veteran and a returning student, my motivation for the podcast is really to kind of bridge the gap between older students and younger students, obviously, but also veterans and the civilian population. So this podcast is really an attempt for me to help the younger students here, maybe connect with some of the older students and vice versa, as well as an attempt to maybe bridge the gap between civilians and the military. That's always an important thing, especially in the current climate. So I've got a couple episodes in the can already. I've had some really interesting conversations. My first guest was Matthew Laramie. He's the program coordinator for the Military Veteran and Returning Adult Center here at Gonzaga, which he was an integral part of making happen. So talk a little bit about that space you've created and a little bit about the veteran community here at Gonzaga now.
So the space that we created is called the Maverick, the Military Veteran Returning Adult Center. It's 3 floors. It's an old house at 730 East Boone here on campus. It's a 3-story old house. Some of the stuff in there works, some of the stuff doesn't. It's not ADA compliant very well, but it can still be used on the first floor by people with disabilities. We have the top floor with a study lounge and a conference room. We have the middle floor, which has the admin office that I work in, where our student employees also work. And then we have the bottom floor where we built a video arcade in there with like some of the old classic games like Time Crisis and Pac-Man and stuff like that. And those are all free to play. So we also have a big lounge right next door to that with movie theater style leather recliners and a big 70-inch TV in there if you want to come in and watch TV or hook up your video game system or whatever. All these things are available to be used for veterans. Really trying to build a space just for veterans to feel like they have some belonging community here on campus. We're going to start doing Thursday afternoon barbecues. So every Thursday from 11:30 to 1:30, we're going to break out the barbecue and cook some food for anybody who wants to stop by, the veteran community, any returning adult. Gonzaga says that any returning adult is anybody over 25 that has come back to school, and you're more than welcome to come over to use the house. We have snacks. We have frozen foods that you can throw in the microwave. We have drinks. We have a huge coffee mess. We have a coffee mess is something the Navy uses. It's not
a coffee pot and cups. And
right. It's not a mess. It's kind of like called a mess as per mess hall rules or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we have Keurig. We have a ton of K-Cups, all different flavors and different flavors of creamer and stuff like that. So it's a nice place to come in and just grab a cup of coffee, even if you're in between classes. We also just got our Bravo program instated in this campus, which is our vehicle that we have. That,
nice.
If you go to the law school or you go to the med school and you're a veteran and you want to come over and use the Maverick, we can send a driver over to go pick you up. And even if you're a disabled veteran who, like me, I just had my hip replaced about 2 months ago, and you're walking across campus and you are having a bad knee day, or it's a cold day and your joints aren't working the way they should, because we're all veterans and we all have those issues with our body. We'll come pick you up. We'll give you a ride wherever. Just look for the flyers for the Bravo program that we're putting up around campus, and if you need to, give us a call and we'll come pick you up.
That's just a snippet of the conversation I had with Matthew. We also got into his experiences in the Navy and his experiences as a returning adult student here at Gonzaga. And he had some really interesting things to say about connecting across generations here on campus. So I do hope you'll tune in and listen to that entire episode. For episode 2, I sat down with Professor Brian Siebeking. Brian's a friend of mine. He's a professor of religious studies here at Gonzaga, as well as Army veteran who spent some time in Iraq as a younger man, as did I. So we connected over our shared experience at the tactical level of administering U.S. foreign policy, although Brian did have some quibble with that characterization.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but yeah.
But at the tactical level, right? So, and this is the thing. Right. So just to differentiate for you, but like I worked at headquarters. Later in my career, I got to be a little higher ranked than you were, and so you have that
quite a bit higher
strategic level, right? Which is overarching strategy. Yeah. Which hopefully we have one. And then the operational level, which is at the unit level, basically, battalions and stuff that actually operationalize that strategy. And then you have the maneuver units that are tactically. So when I say that you're tactically administering foreign policy, what I mean is some suit in a room decides we're going to not let anybody who is in the Ba'ath Party have a job in Iraq.
Right.
And then you're the guy in the office looking at Iraqis who are having to do. That's what I'm talking about, right?
I see.
That's what I mean when I say tactical level. So you as a person with experience with military law, deployment experience, you're a religious scholar as well, right? So you're traveled in the region, you're familiar with the cultures, because it's not just one, right? It's not like a monolithic thing. I'm just curious from your perspective, however you want to enter the question, like what do you think about what's happening? Because that's the thing I think, well, that's one of many things I think that are lacking in this planning, because obviously we're talking around and about Iran. We're talking about Iraq, our experiences in Iraq, but we're talking about Iran.
I've been talking about this in my classes and with my students, right? And prefacing it with the statement that I'm coming at this as a veteran of the Iraq War, of a war of choice that all of us who are veterans, we don't all agree on its assessment, but here's my assessment, right, is that it was largely a disaster for us, for Iraq, right, for the region. It set off all kinds of impacts, right, including created the conditions for the rise of ISIS and sort of all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it from that perspective, and I'm seeing another war of choice, this one even less thought out.
Right. At least George Bush had the decency to spend 18 months lying to America get us to believe in the war.
Indeed, the decency to lie to us about it.
But I think that is a fun. Like we're joking, we're laughing, but the fact that we've gone from lying the country into a war and lying our allies into a war, which is bad enough, to a position where the president doesn't even have to bother to lie anymore. Obviously, we're not afraid of expressing our opinions on this podcast. And that's really what this is all about for me. I want to bring the veteran experience out into the open and share it with the wider GU community. I want to use this podcast as a vehicle to connect with fellow veterans and fellow Zags and bring their stories out to the wider world. So if you're a veteran and you're interested in being on the podcast, reach out to me. If you know a veteran who you want to nominate, reach on out to me. And if you have a question or something that you just like to know about veterans, reach out to me. My email is ppiper@zagmail.gonzaga.edu. And this is the Vets Are Zags podcast.